here updating some things, but I know you guys are super happy to see my wonderful allergy attack blown out face. I'm just gonna update this real quick. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, you started a little early. I had to just go in and update because this is actually chapters
7 to 9.
Yeah, you have 4 to 6 in here.
Oh no.
All right, so I'm gonna X out and then
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. I have one question. Yeah. Do you see, am I supposed to be able to see people comment on this right side?
There's a delay, so to keep a tab open for Facebook because there's a delay on, and a lot of them don't. I'll explain when I join back on the guest side.
Okay, cool. All right, so hi everybody. My name is Diamond Ray, and I'm a part of the Syllabi cohort for Smart Brown Girls, and this is my first time here, so I'm very excited. If you want actual access, hey y'all, I can actually see your chats. If you want actual access to the syllabi that you can pay for the complex and general track, you can go to Smart Brown Girls, the website.com, and you'll be able to do that. And Julesy is here with me. So hey y'all. Okay, let's see. Let's share screen. Please install. It's through the share. Mm-hmm. Where'd you go? There's no arrow at the bottom showing stream. There we go.
Oh, now, guys, I was just plugging in my Ethernet so that the Wi-Fi is a little bit clearer. Okay. Hello, everyone. I don't know if everybody's going to join this one, actually. We sent out the newsletter, Timing Matters. We're trying to figure out this engagement thing with this book club because we are doing a lot of work, and I don't know if a lot of people are catching the work we're doing. Yeah, so obviously, as I've said time and time again, the Eloquent Rage syllabus that Samantha Brown put together is awesome for this. I would highly recommend purchasing said syllabus, and that's what we're going to be pulling the discussion from. This one is Diamond's hosting this one. Obviously, she's already introduced herself. I'm late. Sorry, it's the allergies, but we're doing chapters 7, 8, and 9, right?
Yes.
So Orchestrated Fury, White Girl Tears, and Never Scared, because I ain't never scared. I don't know if the Generation Z folks are gonna get the reference. All right, so just the FYI, on your side, Diamond, people are gonna show up within the chat as Facebook user unless they've given the app that we use to stream this access, because Facebook they changing things, so that's why I keep a tab open so I can see who's commenting. But I'm sure this is probably gonna be light. It's early on a Sunday. Folks join the group, then lurk or turn off all the notifications. Don't read the emails. I don't know how to get these hoes. I don't know how to tell y'all what we doing, but we here.
Yes.
But hello to those of y'all who have joined, and I'm gonna X out. And if you need me for anything, I'll tap back in. But
okay.
I'm gonna let you handle this, and hopefully it goes smoothly. Oh, and then you know how to add people to the chat, right? The same link you sent me. Matter of fact, I'll just post it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
I will copy and paste and post it into the group so that you guys. I just wish that they would let us pin comments. It's so shicey that we can't.
Awesome. Hi, Danny. Hi, Leslie.
And Dominique and Fadumo. I hope I said that correctly.
All right. How are y'all doing? I know it's a delay, so we can kind of get started on it then. So the first chapter was chapter 7 in this group, and we looked at Orchestrated Fury. And I just want to reiterate that if you have any questions at all as I'm going through this, as we're kind of processing what happened these few chapters, because they're really, really heavy, I'll be able to look at your comment and answer all of them because none are off limits. But yeah, so we had Orchestrated Fury, we had White Girl Tears, and then we had Never Scared, as Rosie mentioned. So again, please comment your questions. I will be responding to all of them. And yeah. So a part of this chapter that I think Brittney really went into was kind of the intersectionality of being a Black woman and her specific identity. She described herself as fat, Black, and Southern, and kind of what that meant as she was going throughout her career and she was on her journey of self-discovery. So if we look to the syllabi and look at the awesome questions that Samantha posed that I can ask y'all, do you think that there is a difference between passion and rage and kind of how those things interact with the intersectionality of Black women, especially Brittney, as she was describing kind of how Black women have this performativity that must always be in the front of our brains as we go and navigate different spaces and how we come across. So let me see what y'all posting. I really appreciated how she mentioned embracing the ways we are in process more, because I think obviously being in a capitalistic society, you have to produce continuously. But if you have certain ideologies that kind of dictate your trajectory, like a lot of Black women do, a lot of people in the US, on a global scale, have been told growing up, you have to do twice as more to get half as much. So I think she really kind of touched on how that affects what we do and how we do as we discover how we are in society. I'm trying to see y'all comments. What were your thoughts on that, or doing the most and kind of achieving the least? Well, I feel like this chapter was it was heavier for me than a few of the other previous ones. I think Bag Lady was heavy, but this one in particular, I think Black people historically have had to think about ways that we can actually make what we can out of our situations. So this was one of those moments for sure that she kind of captured that. And she went a lot into Michelle Obama, everyone's favorite Black girl. Hold on, y'all. I'm having a little bit of a pause in my connection, so bear with me. Okay, awesome. I can actually see all your responses at this moment. So, Fadumo, and I apologize if I say your names incorrectly. Fadumo says, passion is maybe softer than the things we associate with rage, rage being the thing that takes you out of civility, which is maybe what eloquent rage does, a civil rage. I agree. I think there's a way to deliver all types of information, and the idea of kind of doing something eloquently or with tact is something that has its own power. And I think a lot of Black women have had to utilize that as we've continued on and trying to be everything we want to be, everything we're supposed to be, and kind of interacting with perceptions in our hypervisibility and hyperinvisibility. Danny, you said, yes, I like how she mentioned that the respectability politics of never being caught slipping does not let us be in progress. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with this. This idea of like sitting with yourself and sitting with the process of life, because it's not a straight line. That's a type of space that I don't think a lot of Black women have had or have given themselves. And we even have like this thing of self-care and a movement that's really become like a global thing. And people arguing, well, it's not just getting pedicures or facials. It's not just writing a journal. Sometimes it's doing the hard stuff like going to therapy or sitting with yourself, like a lot of us may be forced to do as we're in quarantine. So absolutely. Dominique, you said, yes, Black women always have to second guess how our passion is perceived. Absolutely. Is it passionate or is it coming off domineering or bitchy? Who's to say? How do we make ourselves more palatable? And she also goes into hair with how Michelle Obama wore her hair during Donald Trump's inauguration and how she felt like she wasn't really trying, and then that was sending a message to everyone else that she kind of wasn't okay, and it was a form of resistance to her outward appearance. So how do you all think that hair plays into this respectability politics and kind of being seen as more eloquent rather than angry? Or for those of you who are in my club of the folks accused of resting bitch face like 24/7, that resonated with me. The idea of kind of having always to show up in a space, always presentable, making sure you're received as good as possible, honestly, so that you can kind of have the pedestal to reach people, be listened to more, not tuned out by folks. Let me see. Yeah, I always have to second guess Dominique. I agree as well. It somewhat goes back to our passion coming across as sassy or have an attitude. Exactly. Brittney, I agree. You said, I don't understand why we have to always wear a smile. I feel you. You know, having the allowance to have a bad day, I'm sure, like, and I'm speaking for myself, there have been moments when you want to show up or you have to show up, but your human side is like, I'm really mentally exhausted. I'm very tired, but you kind of have to be in a space, be happy. You don't want to seem threatening. You don't want to seem angry. Getting things done, the manner in which that happens for Black women, it has a lot of thought that needs to be included in there. Fantasia says, Cooper does mention in this chapter how we must abandon respectability to tap into our rage, but also question the need for eloquent rage. Question mark, why does rage have to go through the eloquent filter, and how is that different from the practice of respectability of politics? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm rereading. So I think the respectability politics thing is very complex. What may be respectable to me might not be to you. And I think we're expressing rage that does have a negative connotation in comparison to passion. It's important to think about that they may be different things to different people. One person may see this person as being a leader, a visionary, someone who needs to kind of have the voice of what they want projected in a way that can be kind of shunned away from, and other folks may work in different ways. So I think delivery is a very personal thing. And I agree that Brittney, she does kind of frame it like we need to have this more eloquent to be heard. And I kind of agree with that in the social sphere. Like, I couldn't imagine Michelle Obama coming and like, I'll talk about my husband in this way, or, you know, giving any type of attitude or sass, even though there are some moments when it's just a little bit of that sass coming through. I think all of those places to not show rage or anger is something that Black women have been struggling with for years. Like in the 3 archetypes that I remember most recently from Melissa Harris Perry's book, Sister Citizen. She talked about the Mammy, the Jezebel, the Sapphire, and kind of just the archetypes that we're positioned in. And I think when we're looking at respectability politics, respectable to who? How much are we interacting? Or is this someone in the corporate world, or the wife of someone running for president? Is this someone in more of a service industry? Like, kind of what kind of things you can play with in spaces? But I definitely think Black women have to think about that more. Absolutely. So Danny says, let me actually go back. Natural hair is always seen as resistant and message sending. Absolutely. I didn't want to skip over that one. As someone with freeform locks, I've had a lot of conversations about hair and respectability and the need to look more maintenance and polished. So that's a great point. I feel like more, in my opinion, the hair thing was great because Black women hair it's inherently a political thing. And yeah, so then you start your chapter, respectability politics died the day Michelle Obama showed up for her last official engagement as First Lady with a thrown together ponytail bun combination and facial expression fit for a funeral. She said, I love the subtle FU, but respectability politics are very much alive. Yeah, so we do say FU, it has to be subtle, it has to be calm, cool, or calculated. It can't be like a reality TV show reunion. That's not how it works. And Dominique, you said, never just an effort to simply take care of and being what you are, showing up in the world as you are. In our society, always revolutionary in varying degrees. Absolutely. It's like the respect due to someone who's not afraid to stand alone in whatever way, have a different opinion. That'll make someone think, oh, wait, what's happening? Why are they like the one person saying this versus this other person or the majority? So another question that Samantha posed on the syllabus for Eloquent Rage was kind of how in your lives, for the folks who are here, have you had to look at respectability and kind of utilize that to get further in your career or school or in personal life? Because unfortunately, we can imagine probably that all of us have had to do it in some form or another. So yeah, what do y'all think about that? And maybe you are a Black girl who has never had to fix your face, or you can be the volume you want and actually show up as your authentic self in your jobs. Let me know, like, how is that? I think all of us may have different. Hi, Dominique. Okay, I want to show you in the stream. Well, I'll ask you out then. For anyone else watching, have you had to be more respectful in certain places than others? Like, what does that look like? For me, for sure. When I got my hair to look like this, so I cut my hair off twice before doing this. Before the natural wave happened, I like cut my perm off, boom, boom, all that good stuff. And I decided to get hair like this, dreads, not necessarily locks. And I know linguistically people have an issue with dreads. I personally don't, but thinking about which jobs I applied to and kind of what was acceptable and whether my natural hair was, you know, able to be in the space and what that looked like, that was something I had to actively think about every time I applied for a job. So I think hair is a big part of that. And even going off of this, there was a part of this chapter that Brittney mentioned that some commentator had made a comment about Michelle Obama's butt. That again was heavy, and how a lot of Black girls, you know, growing up, we have to like not wear certain things to not be seen as fast. You know, if someone's booty is a little bigger than someone else, you can't wear that. She can, just because it's not okay. You can't wear that around your father, or you can't wear this around the men in your house. That all is kind of interwoven into this as well, and kind of how making something out of nothing, making that rage of kind of being heavily policed as Black women. Because I think this whole chapter was just about kind of how do you deal with it? Being policed outside the community, but also in your familial households. And if you experience that, and then going to work and coming in with braids and being able to say, yeah, I'll come in with braids, or maybe I'll come in with a bun the next day, and what all of that means, and how you're not really able to sit with that. You kind of have to keep producing, keep getting your job done, keep looking presentable. So it doesn't leave a lot of room to kind of sit with who you are. Okay, so Jolie, she says, I was shamed out of wearing shorts as a child and had to explain to my spouse about it. Thank you for sharing that, Jolie. Yeah, like I wasn't allowed to wear shorts either. It's like, you don't have one of them butts that you can do that. That's what verbatim was said to me when I was a child. Like, you don't got it like that. You're not skinny, so you can't. So thank you, Jolie. So we have Jory here. And again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names. I'm the only Black educator in my place of work, and they are mostly progressive, but beyond that, the optics of policing me would put them in a bad position with the public. So I'm doing the least with my natural hair and still coming to work with no regrets. Awesome. Thank you, Jory. I think that's a pretty nice place to be in. But to think about like your natural hair and how it sits and like coming to do a job, two things that should definitely be super separate, but kind of historically, it's one and the same. It's as natural as like taking a shower, brushing your teeth. Is your hair okay? You know? And maybe I'm answering questions too fast or asking them too fast. I keep forgetting there's a delay. So if I'm moving too fast or if we need to come back to a point, y'all could definitely please let me know. Jackie says, I still don't wear shorts. I don't wear shorts either. I don't wear shorts either. They have to be like Bermuda in the summer. So I feel you. And Jackie also said, well, I'm in a class for my Master of Fine Arts where we talk about critical race theory and Black women in concert dance. I'm one of two Black women. I have felt the need to correct my white professor in the most respectful way. Good for you, girl. Thank you, Jackie. There have definitely been times where I was in class and I didn't say anything because I was exhausted for one reason or another when comments like that are made. So the fact that you're one of two, that's a lot of pressure. And Jolie, you said, I started releasing that shame recently. I'm comfortable. Awesome. It's so wild, these things. And if you're like me, you'll look at people who are wearing the shorts, who do have a little bit more, you're like, wow, she's courageous, or like, I wish I could do that. So a lot of this is like universal thoughts that we're all kind of thinking. So I don't know if you discuss it with folks, but I think this is a good conversation to have. And Brittney, you said, I wore Bermuda for my last vacation, and my friends commented I was having a hot girl summer. I learned the length doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's all subjective. So thank you for sharing that. So if y'all have any more about orchestrated fury, that chapter specifically, you can comment a question. One last thing about that chapter, this idea of the right to remain silenced, and the anecdote of the young woman, young girl, she was in school, and how she would, she was holding onto her phone, and the teacher asked her to give the phone up to the school police resource officer, whatever you call him, and she ended up getting hurt. Someone else who was protesting, another Black woman, of course, in the class, a Black girl. What does it mean to remain silent or like to resist? If you're not meeting something with rage and it's with silence, is that a form of rage? And I have to remember that it's a delay. So, yeah. Again, if y'all want access to the syllabi, you can go to the Smart Brown Girls website and purchase it there. And Jolie, you said, yes, I always say, if she is brave enough to wear it, why not me? I feel like we all have the same thoughts. It's like a hot day in the summer and you're just like, wow, maybe I can do that. Different comments are populating different places, so I'm gonna get to everyone. I definitely grew up feeling like it was never acceptable to question authority like my white peers did. I was always afraid I would be perceived as combative. I justified being very opinionated and asking questions as a white people thing, even though it is very much a part of my personality. Thank you. I can't see you put this, but on your comment, always kind of second guessing yourself. Is this coming off as combative? Are they think I'm a bitch? Or are they gonna think X, Y, Z? Having that constantly in your head before you even think of saying what you're saying, that takes time. That takes energy, which goes back into what Brittney was saying, like sitting with the process of what it is to be you in this world. I thought I was in a privileged space working in an Africana Studies department of a university until I overheard my chair trying to get another Black woman to chime in on referring to my head wrap as Aunt Jemima. I was very pleased when she shut him down. Thank you. That whole Aunt Jemima thing, I had to think about. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you. Why does Aunt Jemima always come in? Not 2 weeks ago, I was talking to someone about a comment made. Like, why are we talking about Aunt Jemima and Black women? Sometimes silence is just exhaustion. You can't even bring yourself to get mad. Exactly, Miriam. Sometimes it takes too much energy to even acknowledge something that just happened. So I was in Greece and a woman asked me to touch my hair and I said no. And she was like, why not? And I just stared at her. If someone's asking why not, I just went to sleep. I literally went back to my hotel room. And Fadumo talked about the instance in the girl from Baltimore in that same tone of just not giving in and quietly going about your business. And still, because they weren't abiding by whatever was expected of them, they were somehow intruding on civility and not being civil. even in silence. It's a matter of why won't you just do what you were told to? Exactly, like tacit submission, do what you're told to. Very like, it's a very dehumanizing practice, honestly. Like a dog. I asked you to do this, you should. I'm answer in this tone. If you're feeling feelings that I didn't expect you to feel, then I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna call you angry. Oh, okay. Now I can actually see. Thank you, Julie. Yes, I stick to carefully worded emails when I comment my professors, and I try to keep race out of things, but I do point out their rude behavior, all nice and sweet. Absolutely. You have to kind of go the extra mile. Jackie says, yes, I stick to carefully worded emails. I read that. I know people who went from rage to Afro-pessimism. Now they will not even engage in conversations about race. I feel that. Okay, we're going to move to the next chapter, so we're running out of time. But thank y'all so much for engaging. I really appreciate it. I think everyone has their own process too. So that speaks to that, Miriam. Some people are like, I'm not even going to engage with this and with you. Some other people are like, let's have a coffee. Let me explain to you why you shouldn't say Aunt Jemima comments about me. So it depends on the type of person you are and how willing you are to help folks out who may not understand. May not. Willful ignorance is a thing, though. My friends and I have resorted to sending our emails to each other to double check ourselves. You got to do it. I've had to do it too, just to make sure. And that's one of the benefits of working with other Black people. I know from experience and other people, you don't got to worry about those type of things. But it's kind of like that idea of folks who may have went to PWIs versus HBCUs and kind of what environment you want to have that part of your life be. There's a whole lot of policing that goes on in PWIs, but it's probably policing that goes on at HBCUs too, but it's a different breed, especially depending on how acceptable of a Black woman you are and things of that nature. I didn't go to HBCU, but I definitely look at videos of parties and different prideful moments, and it looks like a really awesome time. Okay, we're gonna move to White Girl Tears. So I'm gonna go back to Samantha's syllabus, and we're gonna look at one of the questions. So Cooper references Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, and Iggy Azalea. It don't matter. Iggy Azalea as perpetrators of cultural appropriation. How do you think cultural appropriation reinforces the oppression of Black women while simultaneously to the benefit of white females, such as aforementioned in these pages? That was a heavy comment. That part of White Girl Tears, kind of the fact that Black women were kind of used as props by Miley Cyrus. I'm not up to date on Miley Cyrus. I don't know what she's doing, if she's twerking or not still, but I do know that she did have Black women with her twerking. Jolie said, woo, this chapter, I read it and rolled my eyes the entire way. Me too. It was a little hard to get there. But Jolie and the other folks, what do you think of, the victimhood, the privilege of being up in someone's face, Brittney put it. I really appreciated that because on page 174, she mentioned that, like, when she had that issue, she was giving a talk somewhere and a white woman came up to her and was just like, the red face, and she was angry and saying something about she didn't agree with how Brittney was explaining the implications of the crime bill that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton brought forth in the 90s. And then a white woman was upset about it and was just saying, I don't agree with it, but also kind of invading her space. So the privilege of being up in somebody's face but not being called angry. That's what I was thinking about this whole chapter. Okay. Yeah, I roll my eyes. Someone says simple Black woman does it equals ghetto. White woman does it. Oh, it's stylish and great. Exactly. And this even made me think about like the naming of children. And you know, when Black people name certain people names or their children names, it may have like historical context or be the name of a queen in Africa, like the name Amina or something, but someone in the corporate world, because there have been studies. It's true, when your name sounds Black, you have less opportunities job-wise. This is founded. I can send you the papers. I'm forgetting the person who did the study, but things like that. It's like, oh, it's cool. I'm gonna name my daughter Apple. She'll get a job. She's my daughter. That's Gwyneth Paltrow who said that. So I don't think cultural appropriation is as harmful because white people want to steal LOL. Maybe I'm just immune. I feel like it's super aggravating and frustrating when Black men co-sign it. Woo. That part. Again, this was a heavy chapter. And I think I don't know who said this, but it's harmful. Absolutely. It gets real complicated when folks in your own community are saying, oh yeah, no, that's okay. They can say nigga. Cool. When other people in the community may say something completely different. Like having a unified front is not something the Black community does well, especially when it comes to like gender. So thank you. Someone said, yes, we can accept a child name, or Jolie said, we can accept a child name ABC, ABCDE, but not Serafina. Okay. And because my name is Diamond, and that is my actual name, when I first meet people in work settings, at times, and in social settings, it's like, oh, Players Club. It's like, oh, I haven't heard that one before. So the name thing, that's really to my heart. Because there were so many times when I was younger, like in grade school age, where I was like, why couldn't my name be Crystal or something more palpable? Like, I'm Black, I got natural hair, my skin tone. Diamond, that's a little rough, but I've learned to kind of grow into that, but for sure. This makes me think about commentary videos on YouTube. Some white YouTubers make sure they throw 5 seconds talking about race to make sure they don't get negative comments. That's fair. I don't think I've noticed. I don't watch YouTube like I used to, but interesting. Dominique said it's stifling to us. Yeah, always making sure you're palpable or palatable. That stuff's exhausting. And if you're in the rhythm of life and going on to the next thing and achieving the next thing, compensating for what you may think people think you are, and kind of trying to change that idea, that's exhausting too. And I forgot who said it, but like the idea of Black men co-signing things, that goes into when Brittney was quoting the doctor who said, preference is a thin line between preference and pathology. How many times have you heard, this is just my preference? I just prefer it this way, when in reality that person was saying, this is the only way I like it. You know? Yeah, this was a heavy chapter. Someone said, my aunt that named me Dominique named her own daughter LaQuisha. She has the worst time workspaces. Most time in workspaces, I'm assuming. Yeah. Letitia says Shaniqua's. We can all only imagine. But then you also have Black folks who are saying, oh, that's a white name. If you see someone named Ashley or Hannah. So it's all, you can't, you win, it's a lose-lose situation is what I'm trying to say. There will always be someone to say, someone there saying something about who you are. But the power of naming someone something is a powerful thing. So Fantasia says, there was a recent episode of the Code Switch podcast where they discussed interracial friendships, and one Black woman discussed how being in a relationship with a white woman alerted her to this emotional hierarchy where the white woman feelings were at the top of the food chain. Woo! Interesting. Yeah, like she said, Brittney was like, white women tears are powerful. And I've said this plenty of times throughout the years. It can kind of make everyone care their tears. So thank you, Fantasia, for that. That's intense. Like dating someone who's just maybe the same in one way as far as gender identity or the performance of femininity or masculinity, and then having to realize, oh snap, even in this personal relationship where I have someone with me who should be caring about me, we should be equals, there's still like a baseline of my feelings are going to be perceived. They matter, not necessarily more, but just understanding that. So that's interesting. Thank you, Fantasia, for sharing that. I have to check out that podcast too. What else do people think? The white woman tears. Have any of y'all been in situations where a white woman cried? Y'all had some type of conflict? How did that play out? How do you feel? Were you crying? Someone said, I've seen white women plan to cry to get their way. I have too. And another person said, the Me Too movement is a perfect example of how white women tears matter more. And Brittney even goes into this when she was speaking about the whole Bill Cosby debacle, and how she personally was being introspective and thought to look at herself and say, wow, I took this whole thing more seriously when I realized it was white women he was being a sexual predator to. What does that mean as a Black woman when you're like putting someone else's feelings ahead of someone else who may identify exactly how you do? Yeah, that was a rough part. This whole thing was a heavy chapter, going into Nate Parker, things of that nature. It was just very, it made me think of when Chance the Rapper told everyone in an interview that he didn't take the R. Kelly victims seriously because they were Black people or Black girls. I think people forgot that. Okay. So Jory says, I embrace my biracial privilege when it comes to the Black and brown community safety. If any of my Black brown friends go missing, my mom will use those white tears for the media. Wow, Jory. That's solidarity, honestly. That's it. Thank you. I think acknowledging the privilege we have, to kind of lift up other folks who may have things just rougher in certain areas is an awesome thing to do. And this even goes into like, as a Black person, knowing if I sound more eloquent or articulate on the phone when I'm calling the police, they'll come sooner, most likely, in a lot of places in the US at least. Brittney said yes about Chance. I was shocked. I was too, girl. I'm like, this man said this in an interview that he did not believe the victims because they're Black girls and he's a Black man. So it's just, what do you do as a Black woman? Your position, the politics of disposability. That's what White Girl's Tears brought out. It was just a lot. It was intense. Yeah, that whole Chance thing, it was, whoo. Yeah, Dan, you got to see it. He literally was just like, and I appreciate him saying that, but I also, it doesn't mean it hurt any less, right? And even in Orchestrated Fury, that chapter, Brittney spoke about just who's protecting little Black girls as they grow up and they're on their journeys of finding out who they are. We are helping each other because we have to. There's no one who's going to be taking up for us on the comments. And I'm even pulling this for present day when Ari Lennox, someone told her, a Black man on Twitter was saying he was amazed that people found her attractive with her nose, and Tiana Taylor as well. Those are Black men. So it's very self-sufficient Black women have had to be in their lives. So Danny says the delicacy and protection white women have been awarded have caused white women were believed not to be able to handle the pains of childbirth, which influenced modern obstetrics by using more anesthesia than previous years. Yeah, when we get into the medical stuff and really realizing that these ideologies cost people's lives, it's like the concerning part about it. Like Black women are dying in childbirth more than anyone else. That OBGYNs are using tools that were first tested on Black girls who were enslaved before puberty. It's like, and most people don't know this. So getting into the medical field and social determinants of health, that's also very heavy. So white women were the cause of anesthesia being invented. So interesting. Thank you all for sharing and engaging. So let me pull back to the syllabus. I keep wanting to say syllabi, but it's specifically with Eloquent Rage. So Cooper quotes Black Panther Party leader Eldridge Cleaver's book, Soul on Ice. He wrote, "The white man made the Black woman the symbol of slavery and the white woman the symbol of freedom." What are your thoughts on this? What did y'all think about that? That was a tough thing to read, how he was talking about how he was raping women. Who publishes things like that? But anyways, let me read some of these comments. Woo child, even today, Black women are dying from COVID-19 because they are not believed. Someone else said, I learned that as well. They believed as Black women, we could handle the pain. Our skin was thick and we couldn't feel it. So that persists today. All these things you're saying, you all are saying, there are actual tests, sociological tests that have proven people think Black people feel, or non-Black people feel that Black people experience pain in a different way than other humans and that we can endure more. The ability to code switch when speaking is definitely valuable, the same value as having the right sounding name. Absolutely, the optics of it if we're talking about someone who has a piece of paper and everything's the same and you're taking the person named Ashley more serious than a Shaniqua, it's very clear as day. Yes, his part was so weird. I couldn't get past that he said he practiced on black girls. Yeah, practicing rape on black. That whole thing. I feel like, at least when I was reading this, I had my ideas about black men and black women. But you never know, like, oh, it was really like this. He felt comfortable reading or writing this and saying he was raping different women based on who was given closer to freedom. I was like, whoa, this is too much. Yeah, that part gave me chills as well. And also the fact that, sexual assault victims are disproportionately black women. The comfort with which he was explaining his abuse and the disregard with women's bodies, but like the way he juxtaposed white and blackness, it was just very, I don't know, that was a hard part to get through. So I agree with you. Yeah, Fadumo, that was too much. It is too easy to lend CU sports players and their white wives. Exactly. I had a conversation with about that with my friend. And it was about the actress who played in Queen and Slim and how she was marrying a white guy. And like all my black guy friends were like, oh my gosh, she's such a traitor. It's like, what are you talking about? There are so many interracial couples with black men and non-black women. I don't understand the outrage. It was so hypocritical, but yeah, this part gave me chills. Oh, snap. We only have 5 minutes left. We're going to go to Never Scared really, really quickly. I think this was more of the uplifting chapter of the chapters 7 and 9. And Brittney went more macro, I feel like, and how Beyonce is important to the image of black women. And her words kind of illustrate in her song, slave trick or you'll get eliminated. Like, black women, you only got yourself. That's kind of how we are indoctrinated into society. Like, or you're going to get eliminated. Like, it's over for you. No one's advocating for you. Like, don't be scared. Take up space, be loud, be whatever. But if you're not going to do what you need to do, you're going to be removed. And I think that message is definitely clear in a lot of different instances of how black women have been treated in the media, other black men, Twitter, which I'm not on anymore because of things like this. But going back to Samantha's syllabus, one last question before we end. Have you or another black woman had their intelligence undermined or ideas devalued, namely in professional spaces? Someone said, what was the comment? So the comment we're talking about, I don't know who's asking this, but it was in White Girl Tears, that chapter, and Eldridge Cleaver. What is his name? Cleaver? Well, he's a Black Panther Party member, and he was talking about raping black women and white women, and how he saw white women as a symbol of freedom and black women as slaves. Like, that's what they represented. His little color scheme. Every day, Fantasia, you said you feel like you're being undermined. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry, that's like your reality. But I think a lot of women like us experience that, especially the more corporate our daily lives are. I feel like academia gives leeway in how like black women have been able to show up as themselves, depending on the field, I suppose. But all Black women in academia that I know who are pursuing PhDs or masters with the intent of teaching, I've seen them illustrate more freedom in how they show up in spaces versus someone who's like working for a financial institution or in corporate spaces. And Brittney also spoke about on 212, page 212, how her curiosity, or like the time at which she might have been able to be more curious and authentically herself as she's experiencing curiosity growing up, was kind of stifled by, you need to get into college, you need to write these essays, you need to do what you need to do so you can at least exist. When you frame it like that, then it's like, okay, I need to perform well as a Black woman. I need to do this. I need to support myself and make sure that I'll be okay. It's possible that those thoughts came earlier for a lot of Black women than non-Black girls. Jolie says, I had to explain, let me put that on here. I had to explain to my Black husband that I do not call people with whom I cannot be my full self friends. Okay. Hopefully he took that well. I think friend's a weird word for a lot of people. And she even went into that, I think in the beginning chapters, about how Black girls have said some people are acquaintances or maybe associates, and how that language was used intentionally for a lot of folks. So I hope that ended well, Jolie. You said that you do not call people with whom you can't be your full self friends. I think being authentic and sitting with who you are is it's a privilege to be around people like that. Some might call them your second set of family, those folks who know more about you than your parents or siblings. And I think it's important for Black girls and women to kind of find their tribe in that way. Okay. So it is 6 p.m. Do y'all have any last thoughts about any of the chapters? I know we kind of skimmed Never Scared because we got locked in the white girl tear thing, but please let me know if you have any last comments or thoughts. If y'all want to connect with me on Instagram, my Instagram is d.rtf_, and I'll be happy to follow you all back. But thank you all for engaging. I know it's a tough time with the quarantine and COVID, and I hope you're making space so you can sit and process everything that's happening. And I thank you for joining. Someone said, Jolie said I had to break it down to him. And last one, I'll have this last comment. It is an interesting thing when Black men don't understand what Black women go through. There lies the conundrum. I'm sure we all have moments, whether we identify as feminists or not, when we had a conversation with Black men, like, you're Black first. I'm a Black woman. So yeah, thank you for offering that. All right, so I'm about to close up. Again, I hope y'all have a great start to the rest of your week and you're staying safe with all this craziness going on. I'll see y'all later. Bye.